So, 2.1 through 2.4 quiz review. On these first few, notice it says use a calculator and round each answer to 2 decimal places. So, the calculator, we do square root of 150. Just to remind everyone, you can fast forward a little bit if you know how to use the calculator. Not that one. That's not what I meant. Okay, so just a reminder, if you're going to be doing what happened there. So we're going to use the calculator. So everybody's pretty comfortable with this. It's second square root 150. Notice it says 12.247. Okay? You want to round here, which means you look at the 7, which tells it to round up. 12.25. Cube root of 175. Here is where you have to use the math key. You have to go down to number 4. Just cube root. Then put in your number. 5.593. 5.593. 9 looks at the 3. The 3 says stay. It's 5.59. Fifth root of 1050. Now remember, for this one, you have to put the fifth, anything above 3, you have to do this first, then go to the math key and go to number 5. And that makes it the fifth root. Now, in the yellow calculator in the back of the room, it actually puts a small 5 where that X is. Now in this version. And then you put in the 1050. .020, which is pretty much just 4.02. The 0 tells you to stay. So there's our answers for the first 3. Now how to use the calculator. Okay, 320. We're going to use, remember this is square root, so we're going to use our chart and go to square root and find a number that goes into 320. And you just start dividing. 320, like 320 divided by 81. And it's a decimal. Then try 64. And you just keep trying this until you get something. And I hit the jackpot right here. Square root of 64 and square root of 5. Please get in the habit of making sure, and a lot of you are doing this, you don't leave the radicals. Don't break it off into 64 minus 5. Keep the radicals all the way. Square root of 64 is 8. Radical 5 just stays. 135. So 135, you can start with whatever. 81 is obviously going to be 160 something, so that's too big. 64, you can kind of figure 60, 120, 180, that's too big. Let's try 49. 135 divided by 49. Just use your calculator, it's a decimal. Then 36. 135 divided by 36. It's a decimal. Close, but it's still a decimal. 135, obviously not 25, you just think of money. $1, $1.25, $1.50. How about 16? 135 divided by 16. Decimal. How about 9? 135 divided by 9. And there we are. 9 times 15. So radical 9, radical 15. Radical 9 is 3. Radical 15 just stays. 180. So we look at our chart and find something that goes into 180. Well, 9 times 20 does. 9 goes into 18. But the thing about 20 is, and you'll still get there. And remember, it's okay. If you do 180 and you do 9 and 20, you'll get 3 root 20. But then this breaks down to radical 4, radical 5, and that's a 2, radical 5. But then this 2 and the 3, you can't forget, it's really 6 radical 5. So if you think about putting this back in, if you think about what number it would be, that'd be 36. So we check on our calculator, 180 divided by 36, and sure enough, 5. So this is radical 36 and radical 5. The 36 comes out as a 6, but we can't forget the 7. So what I suggested in class is if you have a number, a coefficient of the radical, maybe circle it to remind yourself to come back to it. Now we got the 6 here out of the 36. We take 6 times 7 to get 42. Radical 5. Now if you need to, you can take the extra step of doing this to remind yourself, and that's okay. So there's our answer, 42 radical 5. Cube root of 270. Well, obviously 27. Don't forget the little index number. You didn't have to keep that all the way. 27 times 10. The cube root of 27, we look at our chart, is 3. And that's 3 times the cube root of 10. That's it. 96. Well, obviously 81, 64, 49 doesn't go in. 36, probably not. We can check. 96 divided by 36, decimal. 25, obviously not going to go in. 96 divided by 16, 6. So it's the cube root of 16 times the cube root of 6. Keep the radical and keep the index number. The cube root of 16, oops, my bad, I slipped. And I was looking at the wrong line. So let's try 27. 96 divided by 27 does not work. How about 8? 96 divided by 8, and it's 12. So this is the cube root of 8 times the cube root of 12. I was looking at the square line. Sorry about that. So the cube root of 8 is 2 times the cube root of 12. And don't get tempted to say, well, there's a 4 inside there, because that doesn't help us, because we're doing cube roots. 1080. Well, we can try, just at the beginning, 1080 divided by 512. No. 343 doesn't sound like it's going to work. 1080 divided by 216. And you just take the time. You've got a calculator. There's your answer, 216. So it's the cube root of 216 times the cube root of 5. Remember, there's a 5 here. We can bring it down with us if we want. That's fine, to remind us, whatever works for you. And the cube root of 216 is 6. So this is 5 times 6, or 30 if you want to go right to it, times the cube root of 5. Okay, simplifying radicals. Well, square root of 81 is 9. It's going to come out. This is a 2. So x is going to come out. 4 divided by 2, even. Y is going to come out. 10 divided by 2, even times, and we're finished. No leftovers. Number 11, don't forget about this 3. 40 is going to break down 4, square root of 4, and square root of 10. This is going to be 2 radical 10. So on the outside, we have the 2 times the 3. That's 6. We know we're going to have a radical 10, so I'm just going to write that down. Now let's deal with the letters. Remember square root, so x is going to come out. 2 goes into 7 3 times with 1 left over. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Y is going to come out. How many times? 2 goes into 11 5 times with, again, 1 left over. We don't have to put those 1s there. It's just whatever works for you. Cube root of 80. Well, obviously going to break down cube root of 8, cube root of 10. So that's going to be 2, right over here. So 2 is going to come out. We're definitely going to have a cube root of 10. X. 6 divided by 3, 2. Y. 3 goes into 10 3 times with 1 left over. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. You've got to be really careful distinguishing the numbers when you have these exponents coming out and you have your index number. So make sure to separate them, and don't forget this 3. If you don't write that 3, then your answer actually says square root of 10y. You may have meant cube. You've got to show it. Okay. Right here. Let's step back a little bit. This is no different, theoretically, than 5x plus 4y plus 3x. we join like terms, right, and get 8x plus 4y. Same concept here. This radical 7 is just a thing. We're doing 5 of these plus 3 of these is 8 of these. What are these? Radical 7. Plus 4 of those. What are those? Radical 5. The same idea as adding x's and y's. Okay, now these three all break down. So what goes into 128? Well, 64 and 2. What goes into 72? Well, radical 36 and radical 2. And 75, radical 25 and radical 3. So let's simplify. This is 64 is 8 radical 2 minus 6 radical 2 plus 5 radical 3. Again, 8x minus 6x plus 5y. Like terms. 8 of these minus 6 of these is 2 of these. Plus 5 of those. Okay, again, break it on down. So 24, don't forget this 5 out here, it's negative 2 and negative 2. 24 is going to break down radical 4, radical 6. Radical 4, radical 3. Radical 16, radical 3. 16 times 3 is 48. So, square root of 4, 2. But don't forget the 5 out here. You want to write it. 5 times 2 is 10, radical 6. Square root of 4 is 2, but don't forget this. So that's going to be minus 4. 2 times 2 is 4, radical 3. Minus, square root of 16 is 4, times this 2, 8, radical 3. And then once again, like terms. 10 of these, radical 6, minus 4 of those, minus 8 of those, which is minus 12 of those, radical 3. And no, you cannot join those together. That would be like 10x minus 12y. You cannot say it's negative 2xy or x or just y. You can't combine those. Okay? So remember, think about 10x minus 12y. We stop. And here, 2x plus 5y. We stop. We already talked about 8x plus 4y here. Just think about those connections and what you know from algebra. Okay, multiply. Remember, any, outie, outie. So 4 times 5, radical 8 times radical 4. That's one way to go about it. So 4 times 5 is 20. Radical 8 times radical 4 is radical 32. Then we're going to do radical 16 times radical 2. Don't forget the 20 out here. Radical 16 is 4 times 20 is 80. Radical 2. That's our answer. But some of you might realize, hey, square root of 4 is 2. So what that really is saying is 4 radical 8 times 5 times 2. And so what we have is 5 times 2 is 10. We really have 40 radical 8. And then this breaks down radical 4, radical 2, and there you have your 80 radical 2. So more than one way to do it. Outie, 24. Inside, 5 times 10. X to the first, x to the third is x to the fourth, and lonely old y to the 1. This is going to break down square root of 25, square root of 2. The 5 comes out. Times this 24, don't forget it. 5 times 24 is 120. We know there's going to be a radical 2 stuck inside. Now let's look at our letters. This is square root. X, 2 goes into 4 2 times. And the y is stuck inside. There's only one of them, and we need 2 of them to come out. Okay, outie, outie. 2 times 4 is 8. Don't forget cube root. 9 times 6, 54. X to the fourth, x to the third is x to the seventh. 54, we're looking at our cube line, is Cube root of 27, cube root of 2. Cube root of 27 is 3. Don't forget the 8. 3 times 8 is 24. Times the cube root of 2. Now the x's come out. Not all of them, because 3 goes into 7 twice with 1 left over. Okay, multiply. We're going to distribute this to the 5 and to the 2 radical 6. And we're going to use our any-outie rules. So when we do 4 radical 3 times 5, remember, this is similar to 4x times 5 plus 2y. If we did that, we'd get 20x plus 8xy. Well, similar idea. 4 times 5 is 20, but instead of x is radical 3. Now we're going to do outie, any. Plus, like here, 4 times 2 is 8, and on the inside, 6 and 3, 18. Simplify, radical 9, radical 2. Don't forget the 8. Radical 9 is 3 times 8 is 24. So that's going to be 20 radical 3 plus, again, 24 from 8 times 3, radical 2. And at that point, we can do no more. That's like 20x plus 24y. We stop. Here we FOIL. First, outer, inner, last. First, 4 times 6, 24. Outer, 4 times negative radical 10 is minus 4 radical 10. Inner, 6 times negative radical 2, so that's minus 6 radical 2. Last, negative times negative is positive. Radical 2 times radical 10 is radical 20. 10 can't simplify. 2 can't simplify. But this can simplify to square root of 4, square root of 5. So what we have is 24 minus 4 root of 10 minus 6 root of 2 plus square root of 4 is 2 root of 5. And this is really no different than 24 minus 4x minus 6y plus 2z. You can't join together radical 10, radical 2, and radical 5. Just like you can't join together x, y, and z. They're not like terms. Okay, remember there's 2 ways to do this. You can think of it as a shortcut, or you can just think about it as actually FOILing. First, outer. Oh, what happened to my radical didn't show. Inner, last. Notice your outer and inner. 3 times negative 2 radical 5, and inner. 3 times 2 radical, negative 2 radical 5. It's the same thing double. That's why the shortcut works. So what's the shortcut? Square the first term. 3 times 3 is 9. Square the last term, which is right here. Negative times negative is positive. 2 times 2 is 4, radical 25. Then, the shortcut is, which is the same as FOILing, multiply 3 times negative 2, radical 5, which is negative 6 radical 5, and just double it, because that's what happens when you FOIL. So it's going to be negative 6 double, negative 12, radical 5. This is going to simplify to 5. Times 4 is 20. So in baby steps, we have 9 minus 12 radical 5 plus 20. 20 plus 9 is 29. Oopsie. 29 minus 12 radical 5. And there we go. Okay. This is radical 25 x to the 4th over radical 49y. I saw some people wanting to multiply top bottom by radical 49y, which will work, but you're creating a whole lot of work for yourself. How about simplifying first? Square root of 25, square root of x to the 4th. Square root of 49, and just that radical y. Now, all we have to do is multiply by radical y over radical y. How nice is that? On the top, that gives us 5x to the 4th radical y. And at the bottom, we have 7y. Because this right here is radical y squared. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And once again, no, you cannot cancel this y and that y. Because one's in radical, one's not.
All right, silly mistake. The square root of x to the 4th is not x to the 4th. This should be x squared. I apologize for that. That's it.
Okay, radical 3 over radical 8. First we write it separate, and then we fix it. We multiply by radical 8 over radical 8. That's going to give us radical 24 on the top over 8. Well, 24 breaks down to radical 4 times radical 6 over 8. Square root of 4 is 2 radical 6 over 8. These two simplify. 1 and 4. So what we're left with is radical 6 over 4. Or 1/4 radical 6. Okay. Radical 12 times over radical 12. On the top, that gives us 2 radical 36. On the bottom, we just get 12. Remember, when you multiply a radical times itself, the radical goes away, and we're just left with the contents inside. Now, we can simplify this and then reduce, or reduce and simplify. Doesn't matter, because it's all going to work out the same way. We could say this is 1 and 6, and then pull the 36 out as 6, and 6 over 6 is 1. Another way would be to take the square root of 36, which was 6, times 2 is 12, and 12 over 12 is 1. Either way, it shakes out the same. Okay, here we multiply by the conjugate, top and bottom, which means we do the same thing, except just minus. And let's step back a little bit to algebra. Remember the difference of two squares? When we multiply this, we get 9x squared plus 5x minus 5x minus 25, and this cancels out. Right? Well, guess what's going to happen here? This radical times this radical is going to make the radical disappear. Since 1 is plus and 1 is minus, the middle term is going to disappear. And since we're doing 2 times 2, we're going to get a number there also. So what happens is, all the radicals disappear on the bottom. Now, here's the problem. I did see a lot of people want to do 4 times 2 and that was it. Remember, parentheses. We're going to distribute the 4 to both. So that's 8 minus 4 radical 6. On the bottom, 2 times 2 is 4. Radical 6 times negative radical 6 is minus 6. Remember, the middle terms drop out. That's the whole reason we multiply by the conjugate. So what we get is 8 minus 4 radical 6 over 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Now, what we can do, wow, did not mean for that to happen. We can actually split this up and write it as 8 over negative 2 minus 4 over 4 radical 6 over negative 2. And what we get there is, this cancels and gives us negative 4 minus minus plus 2 radical 6. didn't I just cancel across a minus sign? No. That's why we split it up first. Because let's say this 4 here was a 7. We can't cancel the 2 with the 8. That's why it has to be applied to both. So that's why you bust it up. And if it so happens it goes into both of them, good. But if you bust it up, you can simplify on one of them only. So here, conjugate, 4 plus radical 5, 4 plus radical 5. Very easy on the bottom. 4 times 4 is 16, and then minus 5. On the top, we have to think about FOILing again. So the top, first times first, 4. Outer times outer, 1 times radical 5 is plus radical 5. Inner, negative radical 3 times 4 is minus 4 radical 3. And last, negative radical 3 times radical 5 is negative radical 15. So what do we have on the top? 4 plus radical 5 minus 4 radical 3 minus radical 15. None of those simplify. No perfect square number goes into 15. Over 16 minus 5 is 9. And that's our answer. It may look nastier, but we have no radicals in the bottom. And that is your review.